Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Make It Epic Wedding Podcast. You are with Matt and Tim today. Timothy Blackiter, how are you going, kind sir?
I am well, my friend. I am well. How are you, Matthew Ashton?
Not too bad, Matthew. I Timothy you, didn't I?
Wow, that was such a formal introduction. That's the most formal introduction we've ever had.
Whenever I go back and listen to our episodes, I'm always like, we're so awkward in the first sentences of what we say, and then we're like, all right, let's just stop being idiots now. Let's just get into it.
Let's be professional for our audience. Say
professional. Yeah, that's it. I speak good English. What's been happening, mate? What's going on in the world of Tim?
Well, I am finally. My wedding season is done. I am finished, mate. I filmed my last wedding for the season the other day, and what a banger it was to end the wedding season. I've only got a 4-week break, but still, which is pretty cool. Just in time for my birthday, going away for the weekend, up to Barrington Tops, off the grid with the fam. It's going to be great. We got one of those tiny homes for a couple of days.
Oh yeah, sick. How good.
Yeah.
Oh, we done a couple of tiny. We've done a tiny home before for Jess's birthday, and a couple of years ago, and it was like her birthday's in August, and so everyone knows August is windy, and it was so freaking windy that night that we went there. We literally thought we were going to get rolled down the hill. It was proper dodgy. So hopefully you have good weather on your side.
Obviously, we're in a pretty big house. We're out kind of in the sticks in southwestern Sydney. You can't even call it Sydney. It's in the hood. It's like the last council in Sydney, pretty much. But we're used to living in a big house, mate. And I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about staying in a 3x2 meter tiny home with two little 2 and a 3-year-old terrors running around.
Yeah. It's gonna be experience. You guys will definitely bond, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait, man. Off the grid, no phone service. It's supposed to be snowing. We're expecting a bit of snow there overnight. I think it's gonna get to -3. It's gonna be sick.
It'll be cool. I'm excited for you. I think having a bit of time off and away, having the phone off would be lovely. Just so, not that we get that many. I don't we get phone calls and stuff, and but I think it's just more of a distraction for us. Just being able to turn off and switch off and relax for a couple of days. That'd be lovely.
Super important, my friend. Super important.
That's it. How good, mate. It's what a time to be alive, hey? And you're getting older. Another year, made another year. You're getting there.
Getting there, mate. Getting there. Hairline's growing back.
The old reverse, a bit of what is it? Benjamin Button's happening over on the other side of the world, is it?
Stop it. But mate, I think we gotta have a bit of a quiet mention about a wedding we did last week as well. How good was that down at the woods?
It was the best, and if you haven't already listened to the episode we recorded a couple of weeks ago with Caitlin and Aiden talking all things pre-wedding, we had their wedding last week, and it was amazing.
Wow.
These guys are awesome.
Wow.
We had so much fun with them, their bridal party, their guests. It was a sick night, hey. The A-team of vendors were on.
Yeah.
It was good.
We knew it was going to be fun. To be fun, but it exceeded all expectations. It was so good. And they were just so into it, so relaxed. It was everything that they wanted. And man, I cannot wait to put this thing together. I did a little sneak peek teaser film for them, and Froth City, mate. They loved it. I know they were absolutely frothing over your sneak peeks as well.
Yeah, got them out the next day to them as well. They were pretty excited. And I think we've got some little BTS, I guess, for little behind the scenes of when they received both of our sneak peeks, actually. They filmed it for us, which is pretty special, something that probably doesn't happen overly often, but I feel like I'd really like that to happen more. I'm just going to backtrack for a second, just really quickly, because I want to know why you assumed this wedding was going to be awesome. Because we shoot a lot of weddings, and I suppose this kind of it's good for our listeners maybe to listen, to hear why we think the wedding will be really good before it's even happened.
Yeah, for sure. So it came a lot down to just how intentional Caitlin and Aiden were with their planning. So they meticulously chose vendors that aligned with what they want. They had a clear vision. They had clarity on what their wedding day was going to look like. They knew exactly what aspects of the day they wanted to do and what they wanted to focus on. And they just allowed their vendors to do what they do. Like, they trusted the creative process. They trusted our direction. And it was nice to have that freedom to just, zero expectations, but to just completely turn it up. And they had complete faith in what we were doing, and it was just so much fun, wasn't it?
100%. And I would even go another step further to be like, they were like, we were friends with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, now I would say, like, yeah, we're mates with these guys and they're awesome. And that's purely because they, like, literally let us in. They included us into their, like, decision making, and they, like, asked us
100%.
questions, and they, like, showed up regularly on our radars to kind of, like, be friendly and, like, send us messages on Instagram, Facebook, whatever that
they
may
weren't
be.
afraid to, weren't they? Like, they weren't
Yeah.
afraid to, like, ask us questions. Like, even in our questionnaire, they'll answer the question, but then they'll be like, okay, like, what do you think, like, about this? Do you think there's any way that we can, like, improve this? Or, like, this is what we think, can we take it a step further? And how much, like, did it just make a difference when they were just so heavily involved in making sure that they got the best experience?
Absolutely. And I would even say as well, the other thing that, like, worked really well in their favor, and probably more so for me as well, just to get to know them a little bit more, as they did an engagement session prior, which was I would say any couple that does an engagement session with me prior to their wedding, by the time their wedding comes around, it's not just because they're comfortable in front of the camera, but we've met, we know each other, we've built some rapport, we've already had multiple conversations with each other. The experience for them is just so much nicer. And the experience for me, to be honest, is heaps nicer as well. So I'm all about that. Look, their wedding was bloody sick, and literally sick. Also, it got me sick too. I got, like, after that wedding, man down. You were man down as well. So I don't know what was in the air, but we both got hammered. So if I sound a little bit funky on today's recording, that is probably why, because I'm literally just coming off the back of the old man flu over the last couple of days. I was proper dying.
Oh, mate, I lost my voice for, like, almost a week. It was like Sunday is when I really started to feel it, and Monday it was just like man down for that whole week. It was almost a write-off. So that's why I've been pretty quiet on the old socials.
Yeah, same. I think I was Thursday, and what is it today? Tuesday. So I've pretty much been a week as well now. So I think, the voice is starting to come back, but I still feel like I sound like I'm dying slowly.
Yeah, I feel like
anyway.
you just put that on then too.
I just did. I did that. Just I'm practicing my acting abilities. How good. Well, anyway, that was an amazing wedding, and we're super keen to get it out and show you guys some more stuff. And I think we'll have to get these guys back on just to talk about their experience in the next couple of months, because I think it will be beneficial. And looking at a few of the stats, a lot of you guys loved that episode, so I think we'll have to back that one up for sure. But mate, what are we talking about today? Because we've spoken a little bit already, but what are we getting into today? What do we get stuck into?
Well, we've had a couple of, like, vendors on board. It's been a while since we've actually just sat down and had a bit of a chat. So we thought we'd put a poll up. We'd ask you guys. Sorry, let's take that back. So we thought. So we thought we'd put it up on Instagram and the socials and get you guys to ask us some questions. And we want to do a bit of Q&A, answer any questions that you have, because there's been a few which are quite interesting, and I don't think we're going to be able to get through them all, but we can definitely try.
100%. And I love it when we do a Q&A. It's been a while. It's a bit more free flowing, bit more off the cuff, which is nice. And I don't know, we answer some of those questions that, probably don't always necessarily need to be an entire podcast, but we smash out a whole heap of kind of hopefully golden nuggets for you guys.
For sure. I think it's also some questions that potentially we've had a podcast about, or we've spoken about it in detail before, but, over time, new couples, they come through, they may not have seen that podcast, or they haven't seen that episode of what we've said. So maybe we just need to reiterate ourselves a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, let's get stuck into it today. The first question we have been asked is huge. It's definitely a talk about how we're like saying, oh, these aren't always questions that you would do in a whole episode. This is probably something we would chat about in a whole
Yeah,
episode,
for sure.
but we're going to try and like hit the points on this one nice and quickly for you guys. Get to the golden nuggets of this. So the first one is photo and video packages. Booking them as like, I guess, a collective team under one company or like individuals. So me and Tim are individuals, but we work together often, or booking a said company that offers photo and video together as a one brand.
Yeah, yeah. So
Thoughts?
I'm going to be quite biased in this, and I'm probably going to make it sound very blunt. But if you want a specialist, if you want someone that specializes in one area and does that well, you're going to want to choose an individual business. You're going to want to choose a solo business owner who does that one thing and does it well. So for me, I do films. I do epic wedding films. I do films that tell a story. I don't try and dabble into photo where I know my skills just won't hit the mark. For me, films are my bread and butter. That's what I'm good at. That's what I know. I'm great at telling a story, and that's what I want to be known for. And I want to target clients that really appreciate a high-end film, not a cookie cutter film where couples are kissing for 5 minutes. So if you want a specialist, go for an individual. If you want perhaps probably something a little bit more affordable, where I suppose the level or the quality isn't to a level you will consider high end, then perhaps book a team. You'll save some money if that's important. If saving money is probably more important, then book a team.
Yeah, I'd also say that for me personally, whenever I have worked with a company that potentially offers photo and video, obviously I would work for myself, but then the like videographer that might come along who works for a company that does have photo and video as a collective, typically, and I guess this is probably goes even into like if you book a company that does photo and video by themselves, there is always one person in that team that is carrying the other person. So meaning the photographer might be amazing and that's how they get all of their bookings because they're putting out all the photography work. Or on the flip side, the videographer might be amazing and they're putting out all their video work and then they're like, oh, this is really easy. You can book a photo and video team here. Watch me go. And it's just like click a button and it's done. I understand that's great, but there will be something lacking in my opinion.
Something has to compromise. There's got to be a compromise.
And maybe the biggest compromise out of all of those things is that potentially, like for me as a photographer, if I started offering photo and video, I don't have a videographer that works for me. And as a small business, I probably can't afford to put on a videographer full time. Yeah. So
you can't afford me, mate. You can't afford
me. But really, what is it like? At the end of the day, like if I am a photographer and I want to make photo video packages, like that's all well and good, but I'm not going to have a full-time videographer working for me, which means I'm just going to put a call out on one of the Facebook pages or send out some text messages to some mates and be like, hey, is anyone free to shoot this wedding as a videographer for me this weekend? And I'll pay you a couple $100 and I'll deal with the footage. Like when you paint a picture like that,
doesn't know what's important, doesn't have a full understanding of the run sheet, doesn't know how to adapt. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot to say.
there is. I mean, it just comes down to what's more important to you. Do you think that you really want something that's high end? And if you want something that's high end, obviously you want to invest in people that are invested in themselves. You want to invest in a business that has a certain quality, has a certain point, and has a product that you absolutely love and you trust their process. Because if you do, then sweet. But I think it just comes down to what's more important.
Yeah, 100%. And I would probably also say if you are contemplating, and like, look, obviously me and Tim both work for ourselves. We are individual companies that we individually do photo, individually do video. I will say, if you are contemplating going down the photo video under one brand company, just have a think about it. Make sure that you understand who is turning up on the day. Because yes, it may be considerably cheaper. And when I say considerably, you might save yourself, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, maybe $3,000 max, I would say. Like that's Like, but anyone doing them like packages that small, there's definitely going to be something lacking, and you're going to notice the difference in the final product. But what I'm saying in terms of know who is turning up on the day is find out if the company has a photographer and a videographer that works full time that goes to every single wedding together, or if you're just going to get two subcontractors that have never worked together before who really have no investment into the company whatsoever. Because the reason why I say that as well is because I've shot with guys and they're like, oh, I don't really care. I'm just shooting this and like, hey, I'm not editing it, so it's all good.
Just
like
a bit of extra cash.
Yeah. And it's just
are they invested in your wedding? But also like it comes at a premium as well. Obviously, you're going to have to pay. There is a cost to paying for that. And Matt and I cater for different ends of the market potentially than someone else, so it's a completely different story. But there's not to say there is some absolutely epic photo video teams around. There is 100%. But hopefully, we're just biased. But yeah, no, there is some really amazing photo video teams around. Like there's a few husband and wife teams that I can think of. But it really just comes down to what is more important to you. And hopefully this conversation gives you some confidence and gives you some knowledge to actually ask those questions. Not everyone's portfolio is showcasing, a wide range of what they normally do. Maybe it's some of their best films. So like consistency is important as well. Maybe they're doing 150 to 200 weddings a year. Maybe you're just a number.
Yeah. And like I suppose we're not trying to bag out the couple that like or the like photo video teams. I suppose like that's the main thing. Like we're not trying to do that. We're just trying to show you that there is a difference, and there you will get a difference in terms of like your deliverables and what you get at the end of that wedding. And as Tim said, there are definitely photographers and videographers out there who are teams that do amazing work and they're freaking awesome at what they do. You just have to find them. And I would dare say those guys that are doing it well are still on the higher end range. And that's probably all I've got to say about that.
Yeah. Look, high volume studios is a large portion of the market, and that's fine. Like for me personally, I'm not catering for the whole market. I'm catering for couples that really value my work and value having a very high end experience and a very high end product and service.
And maybe not the couples that just want the easy ticker box, get my photo video team under one house and not have to send that extra email out to the other person to say yes to them or something like that. So yeah, definitely think about it. Definitely take it into account, and maybe just ask those people a few more questions just so that you get a clear picture as to who is turning up on the day, so that you get the best experience possible. And that's probably my advice.
Perfect. Well, I think we rambled on that for a bit, but obviously we can talk about that for so long. Yeah, we can talk about that for a whole episode, like we said. But all right, next question: how far in advance do you need to book your vendors in?
This is a great question, and it definitely varies. Like for me and my experience in the wedding industry for the past 6 years or something like that. I think I'm being there now, something like that.
Well, it's okay. So it's June 2023. What is like your furthest like booking that you've got currently on your books?
December 2024. So I don't open my books up let's say for 2025, I won't open my books up till at least the 1st of July. And this year I am pushing it back even further. I think I'm going to maybe do like August, September, something like that, and just kind of like wait that little bit longer. And it's not because of like, I suppose that I just don't want to deal with them. It's more the fact that like I find that people who are getting engaged at the moment are really rushing into some of these things to hope they get like, all the best things possible. And I'm all for that, but I also think that sometimes it's nicer to sit back and enjoy yourselves, and booking me in 2.5 years in advance is probably not that necessary.
So in what you're saying is basically just relax.
Enjoy being engaged.
Well, I have a March 2025 wedding, but that is because it is a destination wedding. So so I booked that one in early, but again, I haven't opened my 2025 books, and I probably don't for at least a month or two, I think. I'm starting to get a few inquiries, but not necessarily I suppose like the venues that I want to shoot at either as well. So I'm
Yeah.
taking it a bit slow.
I've had a fair few for 2025 as well, and I'm like, oh, I've had two for November 2025, and I'm like, oh man, that's like so far away that I just can't even. My brain's not going there yet. I'm still dealing with 2024, and I'm happy with that. I would say like maybe just in terms of like let's just go to generalize, not so photo video focused in terms of like how far in advance you should book your vendors in as a couple. I would say there's a bit of an order to it. Like obviously it's your venue that's going to come up first. Typically it's photo video, and I would probably say celebrant is also up there quite high in the like kind of first few vendors. And then I would also throw in there now your stylist, your florist, one of those two, just because they are those probably few that would book out fast. Obviously, the faster you kind of like lock in your vendors in terms of like physically doing it, the better it is for probably your mental health, and the more you can relax and enjoy the period. But I would say you're probably looking at like a year to 18 months max in advance is probably what you are looking at. If you're doing that, you are probably on the right track to getting people at your wedding that you want to be there.
Yeah. So minimum 12 months. I think anything less than 12 months, it starts to be...
It's risky.
Yeah, very, very risky. Because I know like the inquiries that come through and they're like, hey, my wedding's in 6 months. Like I'm thinking, oh man, like what's booked now? Kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of vendor quality and things like that.
Yeah, there can be some desperation, and I feel for these people because they obviously like you want to recommend the best people possible. Like if I'm booked, I'll always recommend somebody, let's say, and I know that when I'm recommending other people, I know that all the people
100%.
I'm recommending are probably already booked too, and so I feel bad, but it is what it is. If you're leaving it to the last minute, it does become difficult. I would say, talk about leaving things to the last minute, is like if you are, maybe don't aim to do it on like a peak Friday, Saturday situation. Like contemplate doing a midweeker, contemplate doing like a weekend, a Sunday, or something like that. That's just a little bit out of the norm. So maybe there is a high chance that you will get your photographer, videographer, makeup artist, hairdresser, whoever it may be, available. That may be the only way forward.
Yeah, definitely. And the next one's a really interesting one because it's probably something that we've had a bit of a chat about, and I know you do this, and I'm considering to actually add this as a service, and is engagement sessions for video a thing?
A thing.
Is it a thing?
Yeah, I've seen more and more people doing like these kind of like sessions. I know like, we've definitely chatted about it. I think it's something that is valuable. And again, the reason why it's valuable is because it gives you, again, like I said, probably at the start of this podcast, talking about the engagement session that we did with Katie and Aiden, is that like, like at the end of the day, for me, like I built like a really nice rapport with them. So, and they really enjoy the experience. So potentially that can work exactly the same for video. Get your photo and video team together, go and do a session with both of them, and definitely doable.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite interesting because I've been thinking about it the last couple of months in terms of, it's something to like stretch that creative like limit as well. And it's something a little different, right? Like
100%.
a video of an engagement session, you're going to be taking that session quite differently. Like for me, I like to incorporate like audio, obviously, because I still wanted to tell a story. I don't just want to have like videos of you guys walking like around like on a cliff top or an epic location. I still want it to be something that's I want it to be something that's perhaps incorporating some promises or just having a chat, having a drink, talking about like the wedding itself, talking about the love for each other, talking about the things that is just most important that you hold dear. I think something like that is pretty cool, and I definitely love to try it as well. There's a couple of things I would like to like incorporate within it, and I know there's a few guys that are doing what's called like adventure sessions, which is very much like video based. I don't even think there's a photographer involved in some of the ones that I've seen, but it looks really interesting.
Yeah. And I would say that my engagement sessions are like full of fun. Like whenever I do my engagement sessions there, they are very different to my wedding sessions in a sense of like there is a lot more freedom, a lot more movement, and that's purely because you aren't in a dress that is maybe not as like maneuverable. He's like maybe potentially your partner's not in like clothes that aren't as I guess stiff, and you know you're all just a little bit more comfortable. We're not on any time constraints whatsoever. I would say in engagement sessions, I would say 90% of the time, I'm like, let's just have a chat for 5 minutes to see what the weather does. Because for me, that's really important. And I'd love to be able to do that at every wedding. But usually the time constraints don't always allow that for us. So like the engagement sessions are great. And I think that when I'm shooting those engagement sessions, there are so many opportunities that I could be like, this would work so good if it was a video. And
it's almost like it's becoming a thing now. I think video is becoming more valuable to people. I think capturing like these moments are becoming more valuable, and people are starting to really see the importance of video. It's not just it'll be nice to have. Sometimes it's looking back on these things and seeing moving frames that can really like tell like an emotional like story as well. I think this is going to be a trend. I think this is probably something that most videographers are probably going to start to offer as a service potentially in the next year or two.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And I feel like it's probably bigger in America, to be honest. I've seen a fair few American videographers doing it lately, and it's been pretty cool to see. But I suppose there's a new little thing on Spotify that's popped up recently. And this may be a perfect opportunity to use it out. Use it out. That was the wrong way to say that, but that's okay. We'll go with it. Anyway, but it might be the perfect opportunity to use this. So there is a poll section down near the show notes. So what we might do is we might leave a little question down there for you guys to go and leave your thoughts. So maybe we'll do something like, is video engagement sessions, adventure sessions, is that a thing? Is that something you guys would like to see?
Should we do a little giveaway? Should we give a photo and video session?
Maybe we should do a Matt Asher Photography above below visuals little giveaway. That'll be a bit of fun. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, a make it epic adventure session.
Yeah, that'll be sick. How good. Maybe that can be a new thing we should do more often. How rad does that sound? Anyway, if you guys like the sound of that, maybe leave your thoughts in the poll below that we are going to leave. Otherwise, you can always jump on Instagram, send us a message. If you are keen for us to do a giveaway or something like that, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Let us know.
Amazing. And all right, so next one. This is a really cool one, right? It's what's your advice for new photographers and new videographers in the industry?
Oh, man, we're really mixing it up tonight with the photo and video stuff, and the towards couples, towards vendors, towards creatives. This is good. I'm liking it. It's cool to see such a wide range of like people that are like listening to us yabble on each week. It's always it's good. But what advice for new photographer or photographers or videographers in the industry? Wow, it's such a huge question.
It is. It is,
like
mate.
Podcast for itself.
Definitely. Look, for me, like I'll be quite quick with this. I think if you're starting out, and I'll talk for the video side, you can talk on the dark side, on the photography side. But for video, just get out there and shoot. Even if it's free, just get experience, build your skills, learn the ropes, learn how to use your camera, learn how to use your gear, and then focus on how to build emotion, focus on how to build stories, because it's really only through experience that you're going to find your style, you're going to find your confidence. So dream big, chase those goals, follow your passion, and if you want to grow quicker, if you want to climb that learning curve faster, invest in yourself, invest in education, find a mentor. That's my biggest advice. If you want to grow quickly, find a mentor that will help you scale and learn those skills a bit faster as well.
Yeah, I'd probably say like that obviously goes for photo and video realistically.
Sure.
I would definitely say for me, like camera, the way you use your camera and the confidence in using your camera is number one. If you are not confident in how to use your camera correctly, how to shoot in all scenarios, how to shoot in manual mode, and how and know the difference between like ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and what they all do individually, you probably shouldn't be really doing a whole lot of professional shooting of full-size weddings yet.
And
right?
we're big on story, right? Like, for sure. Like, you and I, like, we focus on story, like, over gear. Like, I've minimalized pretty much everything that I use. Like, it's only the gear that I need to help tell a story and that doesn't impact me or limit me on a wedding day. Or any other like brands, commercial shoot, whatever. But I've gone through that experience of learning exactly what a camera does, how I can use it. I'm very intentional with what I do. I don't use monitors on my $10,000 rigs because for me it limits how I shoot, and it's a bit of an eyesore.
I've limited everything so much so now that for the last 3 weddings I have shot one camera alone all day long.
But you've got 2 with you, right? Like, you've got one in the car.
I've got 3. I've got 2 in the car now. And I always lately for portrait, for the portrait portion, and even for the ceremony, I've got 2 cameras on me just in case, because I feel a bit nervous by it. But I literally have been using one camera and running around with that. And to be honest, the freedom and the maneuverability around the day has just become so much nicer. I don't feel bogged down by that extra camera. I've got it all in my hand. I haven't even been using a strap lately. I've just been holding it free in my hand, and just running around with it.
Right.
So, I don't know. For me, it's it's not about the gear. If you are out there, when you are learning, just be confident in the way that you shoot. Because at the end of the day, if you can shoot really, really, really well with your camera, the rest of it will start to fall into place quite quickly. Because for me, it's all about the experience for the people in front of our camera. And if the experience for the people in front of our camera isn't great, it's going to be really difficult for you to maintain a good name for yourself. So, if you have no confidence in the way you use your camera, you're not going to have confidence in the way that you're shooting the people in front of you. So
the baseline always moves. The baseline always moves. Just start at the bottom, do the ropes, do the reps. Yeah, there, it'll be fine.
Started it at the bottom, now we're here. I don't know where that came from. Anyway. All right, next question. This kind of rolls off the back of that maybe a little bit, I suppose. But this is something that me and Tim, if you haven't realised, let me just say this before we talk about this. Me and Tim are quite ambitious, and we have a lot of goals that we would like to do and make it epic. When we started Make It Epic, though, we were kind of oh, we'll just do it and it'll be fun. And then all of a sudden, Make It Epic has become bloody epic, and we are excited by the way it's going, and we have a lot of things that we would like to do.
Yeah, there's lots of things where, it's not just being ambitious. I think we started this to really share our message in how we think we can elevate someone's wedding day, how we think we can elevate the client experience, and how we can help move the wedding industry forward. And that's been the goal ever since we started. And as we've moved along, there's things that have potentially come our way in terms of opportunities that allow us to reach a larger audience. It allows us to share that message to more people and offer more value to those around us, almost outside of our immediate network, which is pretty cool.
And doing it in a different way too, potentially.
Exactly. And I think a couple of months ago we started a bit of a ideas board, what are some of our 6-month and 12-month goals, and what do we want to do? Where do we want to have the most value? And one of those was actually hosting a Make It Epic workshop, which is funny enough what this question is, right? When are you hosting a workshop?
Yeah, and for us to even say that out loud, probably on a podcast, is making it a little bit more real for us, which is exciting. And, we don't know when it's going to happen, but it's definitely in the works, and we have a plan that we would love to do it in the next kind of 12 months or something like that. Yeah, so if you're out there, you're listening, it would definitely be like, we're thinking like sort of like photo, video, obviously focused, business related as well. Really helping you guys elevate the experience for your couples on the day. That's kind of the thought process around it. If you didn't already gather, that's why we are doing this this whole podcast. So we're kind of basing Make It Epic Wedding podcast into a bit more of a like, I guess, intense workshop. To really
So
give you guys
make
an
it epic
experience
education.
face to face. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we should rebrand that already again. Just add that to.
All right, let's not go there. All right. Next one. What do you look for when couples inquire with you? Now, this is a really interesting one, and I'm surprised this one come through because it's not often couples think about this, right? Like
Yeah.
when they inquire with this, like do you expect, as a couple, do you just expect that vendor is going to send, their pricing guide, everything else, and then you can just make a call? Sometimes it's the opposite way, right? Just like you're vetting your vendors, some vendors are vetting you to make sure that you align with them. And
If you
go first with this, mate. Because
if you send through an inquiry, just like very simply, if you send through an inquiry and you don't put any information in there outside of like the name and the number, the email address, and the date and location of your wedding, and you don't like, I have a very specific question kind of box at the bottom, which is like, hey, like, tell me more about you guys. How did you meet? Where, just give me some information about you, because I feel like if you are invested and you really want to have me a part of your day, or any of your vendors a part of your day, you would take the time to write a 5 or so sentence little answer to that. And if you're not that keen on it, like my response is probably quite similar, in a sense of like, yes, I may still respond and tell you I'm available, but I won't be like making it an effort to reply the same way. Like it's kind of
what
what you get.
What if it just says, I'm just looking for prices?
Yeah, I kind of just like send it.
Archive.
Like, and the thing is, like, we totally get that you guys are busy. We totally understand it. We know that it takes time, but if you want to invest in us, we want you to invest in us too. Does that make sense? Did that make? I don't know if that is. If you want to invest in us, yeah, that made sense. I think. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 100%. And like I don't just book anyone. I know you don't either. It's important that I connect with couples that I book. It's actually really important that I do connect with couples. It's important that we get along, that we have a connection, and that I feel like we know we're going to have a good time. Like I can be, especially at this stage, like in my business, I can be a little bit picky with who I work with. And like I'm looking for couples that trust my creative process, they trust my direction, they trust and have faith I'm going to deliver the most like epic style, because that most epic film, because they love my style, they love my approach. And look, let's be honest, like I'm not the videographer that just stands in a corner and films what's happening. For me, it's feet on the ground, getting in there, like having fun, potentially just a lot of banter, maybe putting some shite on some of your bridal party members just to get things flowing.
But a part of that, right, is like us getting to know you guys a little bit more, and I think that's why we want you to make the effort originally. In terms of like the inquiries, I have had someone write me like a proper novel, and I was like, whoa. Done. Like I was blown away. Like it was like a full history like lesson on them as a couple and who they are and how they love each other.
And that's when you know,
this is
like,
sick.
They're invested and they really value your work. Yep, 100%. But also, like, there's some that are just super busy, and like we completely get it, which is fine. Which is why we always jump on a Zoom call. Like I don't book unless I have a chat to like a couple on the phone, or preferably on Zoom, so we can actually see that we're normal people. But
you're not a robot.
Yeah, who knows, mate? Who knows?
Harry Potter.
Robot with a receding hairline. Sure.
With his Harry Potter glasses on. If you're not watching this on YouTube or something like that. Oh, by the way, talking about YouTube, we probably should drop this. Mate. We've never told anybody that we started putting these episodes out on YouTube. So, maybe go and check out. We have a YouTube channel. We're throwing them up there. You can see our faces talking back to each other. You probably see us like coughing or dying in the background when we put our microphone on like mute or something when the other person's
Yeah.
talking. But that's okay.
I can
it's fine.
always hear your button when you press it, like to mute yourself and cough. Like it's just like this ding.
Yeah, I know. And on my end, like everything like sounds like it just goes like silent. I'm like, is he still there? Where's he gone? Anyway, that was a little side note. We're getting very distracted today. It's great. But yeah, where was I up to? We're up to another. We've got another question. So, what? Oh, this is a absolute banger. What is your number one
Give me the banger.
advice for a couple on their wedding day, Timothy? Number one advice for a couple planning on their wedding day specifically.
Number one. Look, I've got lots of things to say about this, but if I had to choose number one, I would say find some time during your wedding day just to have a moment for yourself away from anyone, which includes your photographer, your videographer, your planner, your stylist, your venue manager, away from
Bridal
anyone.
party.
Yeah, bridal party. Yep. Yeah, groomsmen coming with the beers. No, away from anyone. Just so you can have a little bit of a moment, a little bit of time to decompress. Perhaps it's 15 minutes during sunset. Perhaps it's like a 15-minute walk around the venue away from prying eyes. And like, don't get me wrong, like as your like videographer during this moment, and I know like Matt does as well. Like we'll be creeping around behind some trees,
Just from afar.
just from afar. But I think that moment's pretty important because it's the only time during your wedding day, as a married couple, that you're going to have time alone, where it's not going to be potentially close to midnight, and you might be a couple of drinks down. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my number one advice is potentially not so much for the wedding day itself, but in the lead up to the wedding. And it's think about the things that bring you joy and include them on your wedding day. So that means, if there are things that you're not that excited for, like if, we always talk about it, like if it's cutting the cake, if it's, you're not that excited for speeches, if you're not that excited for a first dance, whatever it may be, don't do it. Or on the flip side, if you're really excited for those things, make sure you make that a priority, make sure you do it. In the process of all of these things, we have a lot of people talking to us and it gets quite noisy, it gets quite busy. Keep your blinkers on. And when I mean keep your blinkers on, just try and ignore people that are trying to be lovely and helpful, but don't align with your vision.
I wonder where keep your blinkers come from, right?
From the horses, mate. From the
horses.
Yeah,
keep
the
your
horses.
blinkers on.
Yeah, or the horses have those blinker things, on the side of their head. Anyway, and it keeps them not so distracted, keeps them in a straight line. That's why I'm doing a little blinker thing on my head right now. Anyway, no one can always see because you're in the car listening. But anyway, think about me putting my hands either side of my eyeballs and creating a blinker.
Absolutely love it, mate. Well done. That was top advice. Top advice. Love it. All right. Next one. Last question. Confetti. Yay or nay?
Oh man. There's this is huge.
This is pretty obvious. You know what the answer is.
You know what it is. I suppose let's take it to another step. Let's think because I actually got asked this question this week of, hey Matt, what's the difference between confetti being thrown versus confetti cannons?
Well, imagine a cannon blowing up in your face full of confetti. That's
in your face. Yeah, it's probably better. I'd probably rather have the confetti cannon blown up in my face than the cone thrown into my eyeball.
Mate, what about last week? I had the cannon go off in my ear. It was ringing for an hour. Oh, that shit is lethal.
Yeah, it blew some of the remaining hairs on the back of your head off nearly too.
I feel like I've got to put it out there. Look. Maybe watch the video on YouTube. I'm not actually bald. You make out
Can't tell you got to have it, mate. Anyway, Tim's not. He's just got a patch. But look, talking about that confetti, I think that the confetti cannon definitely gives an extra oomph, as we like to say.
It does.
It's definitely a different vibe. That's for sure. Maybe we'll post up a photo from last week with that photo I've got, which is just the confetti cannons going all wild. I think they had 6 or 8 confetti cannons. It dead set looks like 300 people throwing confetti at them. It's freaking.
It was
crazy.
So sick. It was absolutely.
I don't know
amazing.
if the
I
venue
love
was
it.
happy. but that's okay. I would
But
say
it was a sick video, sick photo.
that is something to think about, I suppose. When it comes to confetti, like it's definitely something we need to consider is does the venue allow us to have confetti? You know, like it's quite simple, but it's probably worth asking the question.
I wouldn't have like a confetti cannon as you're coming down the aisle and you've given it to like 12 of like the aisle seats. But I have seen quite a few times where there might be two people with confetti cannons like outside potentially or like away from the rest of the guests. So as the couple come down the aisle, like and
they
away
shoot it
from
back
everyone
over the
else,
guests
and
or
then
something.
it goes up.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it's
Pretty cool.
It's a cannon, man. Like it's pretty hectic. But it's actually really probably a good time to mention as well that if you are looking for some epic confetti, the eco confetti and the cannons, to check out the Whole Bride, who are some brand sponsors of the podcast, which is pretty cool, and you can sneak yourself a sneaky little 20% discount.
Get onto it. It's in the show notes below. You guys will be able to check out the Whole Bride. They don't only just do confetti too. They have a whole range of products on there. Definitely great for you guys to go and check out. We use the Whole Bride stuff super often. Even like last week at Caitlin and Aiden's wedding, like they used the Whole Bride confetti and confetti cannons, and mate, they
would have took them out of stock.
So yeah, they had a lot going on. But yeah, like to be honest, that Whole Bride is great, and they definitely look after you guys, giving you guys a bit of a discount code, which is awesome. So go and check it out. It's in the show notes below.
Yep. Or if you want the code directly, just send us a message on any of the socials and we'll get that to you.
It's also in our link tree on Instagram, pretty sure. Just FYI.
It is.
So go check out makeitEpic.weddingpodcast on Instagram.
And Matt, look, this isn't a question, but it was from a couple of mine, and they're absolute legends, and they put in here, I just wanted to say thank you and to say you guys are legends. Thanks for providing the clarity I needed to do my wedding my way, regardless of what anyone says. You're speaking my love language. We even changed our ceremony time to ensure we can make it to canapes and enjoy our non-negotiable canapé hour and our cocktails. How good is that?
How good? How good? I've got a little one to. I actually got a little question. Oh, not a question. A review to read out, Tim. We got a new review.
Oh, give it to me, mate.
It is from one of our great friends of the podcast and from one of the legendary celebrants in the industry. Because, me and Tim have always saying to people, we'd love it if you leave a review for us. Jump on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. It's probably the best spot. So that's my little shout for the day. Go and do that if you are listening and you are loving what we are doing. We will give you guys a shout out if you do it. We'll repeat the review, and maybe one day we'll get some stickers and then we'll post you like some Make It Epic sticker pack or something like that. Who knows? But this is from our legend friend who is a celebrant, Miss Georgia Fletcher, the one and only. And she said, Matt and Tim, absolute trailblazers in the industry. Not just amazing behind the lens, but also behind a microphone. These two are a wealth of knowledge who have produced the most amazing podcast that benefits couples and vendors. What a legend.
Love you, Georgia.
She
Love
is
you.
amazing.
How good.
We might have to get her on the podcast one day. Who knows?
Yeah,
She's lucky.
She might have said that, so she comes on the podcast.
Yeah, that's look. Well, there's your shout out. So, that'll do. No.
Look, mate, amazing as always. It's always good to jump on here and have a chat. We should do some more Q&As. I do enjoy these episodes. It's a bit of a step away from what we normally do.
Yeah, I love it. And it kind of hopefully gives you guys a bit of a different take on everything, a little bit more relaxed. Well, I feel like we're pretty relaxed in what we do anyway, but, just kind of less, more information in a shorter time. If there are questions you guys want us to answer in the next Q&A, we might do one, I don't know, in a month's time or something like that. Feel free to leave them in the Q&A box, which I think we can leave now on Spotify as well. Otherwise, send us a message on Instagram, which I said before was makeepic.weddingpodcast. But yeah, we would love to hear from you guys. And we hope that these episodes are bringing you guys value to make your day as epic and uniquely you as possible.
And I might just quickly mention as well, if you are a vendor out there, we do have a Facebook group just for vendors to have a bit of a chat. So
it's been
hit
going
us
off
up
lately.
It has, and we won't tell you why until you get in there.
Yeah, it's vendors only.
But thanks again for another cracking ep, mate. I'll chat to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
So, mate, with how many weddings that we've done, how many times have you just seen like an epic like confetti exit, or just like cool fluffy slippers and cool robes and just like different like biodegradable confetti, and you don't know where to get them from?
Every single
Wedding.
See it every wedding. Every wedding we see this.
Well, we might be able to help you with that if you are looking for biodegradable confetti, if you're looking for long sparklers, if you're looking for fluffy slippers, confetti cone trays.
I love floppy slippers. Give me some floppy slippers.
And all the things like that can help you on your wedding day, just to like elevate that experience a little bit, and just make it easy to get a lot of these things from one place, right? And it's hard to find somewhere that's just, easy to purchase online, get it sent to you, don't have to think about anywhere else, don't have to search anywhere else. You can just listen to this, take a special code, get 15% off, and then boom, these products arrive at your door.
What a dream. How good. So if that sounds like something for you, The Whole Bride is definitely a place you should be checking out. And we have a special promo code for you guys. It is EPIC15. If you go to the show notes, you click that link and then chuck it into your shopping cart at the end, you will receive 15% off just from us, from the Make It Epic Wedding podcast, which is a just little treat for you guys listening.
15% off. Got to love that.